I teach at Columbia University, I teach at NYU. I tell my students, my mentees, that in certain industries, how you show up can dictate your success. In media and entertainment, I'm very proud to work in media, I'm very proud to work in entertainment, but a lot of it is based on visuals, and that's just the fact of the industry, that a lot of people are very judgy, or it's like, oh, you know that girl who's always dressed really nice, or the one whose face is always done, and those types of things. So I think my life, being from Los Angeles, my family, as well as my career trajectory, has impacted kind of how I show up, and doing the little family photos. My goal is that my children look back, my daughter will look back at her first birthday and say, oh, look at my family, they're all dressed in pink, my favorite color for my birthday. Or, just having those really special moments to look back to and smile.
Hey, VA fam, I am here with a very special guest, and I love meeting a friend before you know too much about them, and I just had the pleasure to get to know my guest today as a mother, as a woman, as a friend, as a neighbor, before I realized what a big effing deal she was. And I just want to say welcome to Gabrielle Gambrell. She is the SVP and Chief Communications or Chief Marketing Officer?
Chief Communications.
Chief Communications Officer for one of the biggest global publishing powerhouses in the world called Hachette. So Gabrielle, welcome to Brown Ambition.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here and chat with you as a friend and as a Hachette author.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for your book when it comes out.
It's kind of like sometimes when you get match made, because we were sort of match made by a mutual friend.
Yes.
Christopher. We got to go Christopher Nelson.
Yes, Christopher Nelson.
Who I knew from school. Chris and I, we both went to the University of Georgia. Is that right? Did he go to No. Where did he go to school?
You know him from NABJ.
From NABJ. Okay. Well, I'm just like conflating the two.
I know he's from Maryland. I feel like maybe he went to college in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. But he's amazing. Christopher Nelson is amazing.
He's so kind. I mean, that's how great he is. Like, I didn't even go to school with him, but I feel like he was one of my school buddies.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knew you, he knew me, he knew we were both young moms. We were living in Westchester, and he just like texted one day and said, hey, I think you should be friends with Gabrielle, so I'm going to connect y'all. Yeah. And it actually worked out. You're pretty dope.
It did work out. Likewise, I'm honored to be your friend, and I know I can call you if I want to talk about money, if I want to talk about how expensive daycare is.
You are you're just incredibly well-rounded as a human, as a businesswoman, as a professional. I think one of our first conversations, we didn't even beat around the bush. We were talking about salaries. At the time you were at Amazon, I believe, and you were embodying all of the career strategies that I talk to women about all the time, which is like, take those interviews, continue like keeping those relationships warm, see what's going on in the marketplace with your salary. So I want you to talk about your career, but I also want to talk about your badass origin story. Where did you build that confidence and just the way that you approach your career, which is so head on, fearless, and like a straight shooter, to the point. You're going to look at opportunities. You're going to do things fast and make like big decisions.
Well, thank you for saying all those kind things. I think a huge part of who I am today and how I navigate spaces and how I show up has to do with the fact that I am from Los Angeles, California, one of the greatest cities in the world. And growing up in Los Angeles, you see a lot of prosperity. I actually come from humble beginnings, but because you're surrounded by all the luxurious things and luxury, I always grew up like, how is that obtainable? If they have it, that means I can have it too. So how do I put myself in a position knowing I don't come from a lot? I come from a highly educated family. I'm a fourth generation college graduate. I don't take that lightly as a Black woman. My great grandparents attended HBCUs because they couldn't attend elsewhere. And so a lot of my ambition comes from being from Los Angeles. And then I will say my parents are both pretty much go-getters. They get things done, they make things happen, as well as my godmother who raised me, my late godmother, who my daughter is named after. So I look at my grandparents, my grandmother, Black woman born 1912, one of the first Black women to graduate from Smith College, went on to get several degrees from Eastern Michigan University, Howard University. She met my grandfather, Howard University alum. He attended Howard Medical School. So I always looked at them and saw their accomplishments, their goals. And my grandfather went to medical school, but yet he was a seasoned fashion designer. He designed clothes for the Jackson 5 and the Supremes and Sammy Davis Jr. and so many great Black
Oh, wow.
musicians. So I look at a lot of the things they accomplished, and I knew very early on that I could be whatever my heart desired.
That's incredible. I didn't know that about your great grandfather.
Yeah, my
So did you
grandfather, my
watch The
dad's
Met?
dad.
Did he pass that? Well, I don't know if you ever got to meet him, great grandfather.
No, my grandfather. My grandfather. I met
Oh,
him.
your
My grandfather was
grandfather.
born.
Okay.
Yep. My
Okay.
dad is the youngest of 5 kids. So my grandmother had my dad at 50. So my grandparents are much older. They're no longer living,
Wait,
of course, but
that was a
yeah,
whoops.
that was absolutely positively. They were like, wait, huh? Come again? I'm what? So my grandmother was born in 1912, my dad's mother, and my grandfather was born in 1917 in Augusta, Georgia, so that Georgia connection. And so fashion has always been a huge part of my upbringing. My parents used to hold fashion shows for those in the Los Angeles community. My dad is the best dressed guy I've ever seen. He dresses up to go to the grocery store from head to toe, accessories, like he cares very much about fashion. Every time he comes in town from Los Angeles, first thing he does is like, let's look at your closet and see what's going on. So all of those things really help to shape, who I am and how I show up in the world.
Dang, I wish I had a fashion. I mean, like, I love my parents, but it was giving. We shop at Ross, dress for less. We shop at, Sears.
Listen, we shop at Ross. We love Ross, but I'm not the most patient person. It's something that I'm working on. It's a room for improvement for me, growth opportunity. But my parents will find some jewels in Ross. They go to the thrift stores. My cousin had a thrift store at one point, so they are very patient shoppers. I love Ross. I wish we had it in New York. Marshall's is by our house. So I go to Marshall's all the time. TJ Maxx, which is super close to our house. But I got to work on my patience while I'm there. Because I'm like, I don't say anything and I just leave.
But the way that you present yourself, it is something that I admire. You will do the color coordinated family photo shoot. And I just I saw you were featured in Munamami. Is that how you say it? Munamami? They did a story when it was Gigi, your daughter's first birthday.
First birthday, yeah.
You got both Jeffreys decked out in the pink. Got husband is in the pink cable knit sweater.
Yes.
Color coordinated
The
on
small
point.
things.
How does that presentation factor into your career? How has it factored into your career? Do you think it's something that you use like as armor? Does it help?
Yeah.
Or is it just, it's just something that you've always, based on your childhood, innately cared about?
That's a great question. I actually had a conversation recently with someone. So talking a little bit about my career, I interned at WABC, Disney ABC, on a show that was at one point live with Regis and Kelly, which is now live with Kelly and Mark Consuelos. And from ABC, I went to Paramount CBS. I was there for 7 years. Then I went over right here at NBC Universal. I worked for Comcast NBC. And so working in television, working in broadcast, you're surrounded by beautiful, good-looking people. You're surrounded by best dressed. There was a time where I was working at NBC and my pockets weren't like that, but a lot of people during lunch breaks were going to shop on Fifth Avenue and get outfits. So I think because I've worked in careers that are kind of fancy, if you will, or honestly, and I tell my mentees, I teach at Columbia University, I teach at NYU, I tell my students and my mentees that in certain industries, how you show up can dictate your success. In media and entertainment, I'm very proud to work in media, I'm very proud to work in entertainment, but a lot of it is based on visuals, and that's just a fact of the industry, that a lot of people are very judgy, or it's like, oh, that girl who's always dressed really nice, or the one whose face is always done, and those types of things. So I think my life, being from Los Angeles, my family, as well as my career trajectory, has impacted kind of how I show up and doing the little family photos. My goal is that my children look back, my daughter will look back at her first birthday and say, oh, look at my family, they all dressed in pink, my favorite color for my birthday, or just having those really special moments to look back to and smile.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but you're the one who sent me the link to like this family photographer who was doing newborn baby photo shoots.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I ever got like the beautiful family photos, like the newborn photos of my boy. Yeah. And I wouldn't have even thought to look that person up if it weren't for you. So I feel like being in your presence, I am elevating my
You're too kind. You're too kind. Those are some beautiful photos, though. Gorgeous photos.
Oh, it's so good. And I have them forever. And,
yes.
Very precious. All right.
Yeah.
Career. So you are a maven. Like if you look up that phrase in the dictionary, if it even is in there, I would see your face. And I know that you're in publishing now, but for you, like just the communications career, that's always been the focus, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about the early career moves you made that felt really instrumental to getting you to where you are now?
Yeah, so I would take it all the way back to high school. Two pivotal things happened in high school. I attended Pacific Palisades Charter High School. So my high school, we all know what happened in the Palisades area.
Oh my gosh.
So
did it get burned
it was
down?
burned. It did. But I believe I'm on a bunch of alumni boards that there are a lot of individuals in the community. They're working. I think we may even be working out of the schools may now be in Santa Monica for the time being, but I feel very confident it'll be back before we know it. So while I was at Palisades, I've always liked English, I always like writing. There's always that one teacher that has a huge impact on you. My English 10th grade honors English teacher, Mr. Danzinger, was like, you're a great writer. You've got the gift of gab. And I was like, do I have the gift of gab? And he's like, yeah, your parents appropriately named you. And that kind of stuck with me. And so in high school, 11th grade, I became editor-in-chief of the school newspaper, The Tideline. My journalism teacher, he was over it. He was about to graduate. He was like, listen, you're smart. You're editor-in-chief of the paper, grade the class, give everyone grades. No way a 15-year-old, I was 15, I graduated high school at 17, I was 15 in 11th grade, 16 turned 17 senior year. A 15-year-old should not be responsible for people's grades and how they go to college. And I was signing articles, I was grading, I was in the system putting their grades in. During that time in high school, I learned that I loved writing, I loved storytelling, I loved journalism and media. And I also learned I loved teaching. I was in front of the classroom and editing stories, assigning stories, talking about pop culture. And so my undergraduate degree is in broadcasting, it's in journalism. And so I actually wanted to be on air, and then I realized I'm kind of shy, believe it or not. And so then I was like, okay, I'll be a TV producer. And so when I was working at ABC, I was working in production. I was working in talent relations, working with the stars that are coming on the show on ABC's Live with Regis and Kelly. And I was helping to produce segments. And then, being very honest, I graduated with honors, had a 3.9 GPA, and I was making minimum wage, because typically when you start in television production, you start as a production assistant. And at that time in 2007, I think it was like $7 an hour. And $7 an hour is not enough to live comfortably in New York City, not at all.
Where were you living at that time? Like, how were you making?
I was renting a room with roommates. So I don't know, I was paying like $700 a month. I had a car, I had school loans. I have my master's, but I graduated with $150,000 in school loans. And so in high school also, I was editor-in-chief of the newspaper. I worked at a law firm filing papers, and I worked at the mall. So in high school, I also had 3 jobs. My entire college career I had 3 jobs, and right now I have 3 jobs. So that's like something else too. I'm always working all the time. And so anyways, I couldn't afford to live. I was struggling. I was babysitting. I was a waitress. I was working at a country club in New Rochelle, New York, Waikiki Country Club. And I was like, I didn't go to college. I graduated with a 3.9 to be struggling. It's amazing. I'm working at Disney ABC. What a dream. It is your dream that you get hired after your internship. But I touched base with one of my mentors, and I was very honest. And I said, I am financially struggling. I only make minimum wage. And he said, come over to CBS, come my assistant. You'll make $30,000 a year. And girl, I thought $30,000. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna make $30,000. And I would have benefits, something I didn't have working in production. So I made the pivot from Disney ABC to CBS Corporation, actually as a sales assistant, a mentor.
Just to interrupt, which I know I'm going to need to, because I know you. I'm going to
you
get in there.
Girl. You got me.
Pause and let's double click on that. So the mentor, because that is pivotal, and I hope people are understanding that. It was a relationship. You're really good at like building these relationships. So where did you meet that mentor? And then how did that help you?
So senior year of college, Iona University, where I'm happy to serve on the board, go Gales, Iona had a Meet a Career Mentor night. And so they had different individuals, alumni who are working in the industry, and I went above and beyond that. I went to my career services office and I said, please give me a list of every single alumni who work in entertainment, who work in television, who work in film, who work in sports. And it was thousands of people. I emailed each and every person.
Really?
Yes. And so one of the individuals who I emailed was at the Career Mentor event. And he's like, let's meet in person. I'm going to actually be on campus. And so I met him. His name is Martin Daly, and he's from the Bronx. And he was executive vice president of network sales at CBS. And so that's who I called. And I was just very honest. I said, I'm financially struggling. I'm at Disney ABC. He said, come over and be my assistant. And so I went over as a sales assistant. I have no desire to work in sales. I don't like numbers. I'm a storyteller. I was literally entering numbers in Excel all day long, praying to God to get me out of it. And so, again, he was my mentor and he was my boss. And he said, listen, simultaneously, I was in college getting my master's in sports and entertainment PR because I realized the TV production thing isn't going to work out. And it's interesting because those I interned with, those who I was a production assistant with, they are all executive producers now. I have friends who are executive producers at Tamron Hall. I have friends who all I worked with, executive producers at Condé Nast, GQ. And so most of them, their parents helped them out financially, or they had a little bit of a cushion and help to live off of that $7 an hour, which wasn't the case for me. So while I was at CBS, my mentor said, hey, just start meeting people. Tell them you're in grad school. Start volunteering with different people at CBS. And I'm like, what? Okay. And so my goal was I went on a spree of meeting senior executives, VP or above. VP, SVP, EVP. And so my goal was each person you meet with, impress them, Google them, talk about the career trajectory, how like, oh my gosh, you've done these amazing things. Tell me about yourself. I learned being from LA that everyone likes talking about themselves. Everyone wants an opportunity to feel like a celebrity.
Sounds
or
like
a
you
star.
could have done a podcast, because that's literally what I'm like. Wow, not too much on what I do, the secret sauce.
Yeah. Everyone likes an opportunity, a platform to talk about themselves. So when I was at CBS, I went on a road show. It was a domino effect. Everyone I met with was really impressed. Eventually, I met with the EVP, Chief Communications Officer at CBS, and the head of HR, who I met with prior, said, I'm going to warn you, Gil Schwartz has a reputation of being no nonsense. People are terrified of him. There's books written about him, even a movie. And so she's like, come correct when you meet with him. And I was like, okay.
How did you get a meeting with him? You just emailed his assistant?
I got a referral. So as I started meeting with VP, SVP, EVP, eventually every person, it was a ripple effect. Every person was like, hey, I just met this young lady, Gabrielle Simpson at the time. She's amazing. She's ambitious. She's in graduate school to do PR. She's a sales assistant right now. She doesn't want to be a sales assistant. Can you just meet with her? And I only met with these people for 5 to 10 minutes because very busy people they don't have a bunch of time. But in that 10 minutes, I talked about how amazing their career was. I kissed up to them a little bit. And then they're like, okay, here's somebody else I want you to meet. My goal and intention of every meeting I had was for them to introduce me to someone else senior. So now I'm just making a network of senior executives within the company. Eventually, I was referred to speak to the head of HR, Chief Human Resources Officer, who said, what do you want to do? You're a sales assistant. I was 21 at the time because I graduated college at 20 years old. I was 21 and I said, I'm in school getting my master's in PR. I want to do PR. She said, okay, I'm going to introduce you to Gil Schwartz. So the head of HR sent an email to the Chief Communications Officer and said, hey, there's this young lady. She's super ambitious. I want you to meet her. I know you don't have anything open on your team. Go meet with her. So talk about being emotionally intelligent and reading the room. I came in my best suit. I was suited and booted, pinstripe suit, and I had my portfolio, I had my resume, I had writing samples from stuff I worked on in grad school, and it was a few days after Michael Jackson died. And Gil Schwartz, he had a lot of guitars in his office. So I walked in and I said, hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm so excited to meet you. I have my resume here. I know you're so busy. I won't take up too much of your time. And he said, sit down. He said, you know, Michael Jackson was murdered. And it was just a few days later. And I was like, I don't think Michael Jackson was murdered. I think he died and something happened. He was like, it's going to come out that Michael Jackson was murdered and someone's going to go to jail for it. And I was like, okay. So he picks up his guitar. He starts playing like Human Nature. And then I just start vibing out a little bit, trying to hold a note.
That's a white guy?
Why? White guy. Gil Schwartz, Jewish man.
Okay.
And we're like, tell me it's just human nature. Why? Right? And so we're just jamming out. And then at the end of it, he's like, you want a job, right? And I was like, I would love a job. He's like, okay, done. And I said, do you want to look at my resume? Do you want to look at my portfolio? He said, are you smart? I said, yes. He said, will you work hard? I said, yes. He was like, okay, I'll find a job for you. I'll make a job for you. And that's how I came to the PR team at CBS, and I was there for 7 years. Worked on everything from the Super Bowls, the Grammys, 2.5 Men, How I Met Your Mother, Person of Interest with Taraji P. Henson, 60 Minutes. So that, like, being able to just read the room and vibe out with this guy, and we later found out that Conrad Murray went to jail for murdering Michael Jackson, which at the time, he just knew.
Doctor?
Yeah,
okay,
that's his doctor.
Careful, because my quasi ADHD brain undiagnosed. I might go down that little that little path. But let's just take
That
it
was
back
that
to,
was that was the thing, right?
is it
But
Gail or Bill? Gail?
Gil Schwartz, he's no
Gil.
longer
Okay,
living.
Gil.
He passed away a few years ago. He's actually from Westchester. He's from New Rochelle.
That is such a rich name, Gil.
Gil Schwartz, yeah. So a job was created for me, and that's how I finally got my pivot into CBS PR team, and I was there for 7 years. And then during that time, like just being able to take advantage of opportunities, there was a lot of conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Gil called me in his office one day and said, "Gabby, you're Black." I said, "Yes." He said, "People keep asking about diversity and stuff. You care about that, right?" I said, "Yes, Gil, I care very much." He said, "Come up with a DEI comm strategy and figure it out. Give us some press. Talk about how we care about diversity and talk about our diverse staff and our diverse talent." And I was like, okay. So I did that, led diversity communications, came up with a DEI plan, got a ton of PR hits for the chief diversity officer, who's now my mentor.
What year
She's
was
retired.
this? This was pre-2020, right?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
we
CBS
must be
was a bit ahead of the
talking.
game.
We must be talking 2009, 2010.
That's right.
So a
okay.
long time ago. And then that caught the eye of Comcast
I'm trying to
NBC
figure out how we're
Universal.
the same age because you.
Because I
seem
graduated
like-
college so early. We're the same age. I'm only like a month older than you. or
I
something.
know, but like
Yeah.
how? But I was like figuring my shit out in 2009, trying to get a job after college. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you're just like in the C-suite, you
Yeah.
know, chatting with the head of comms for CBS. Okay,
Yeah.
Gabrielle
I-
Simpson.
I tried, and it worked out. And so Comcast NBC said, "Hey, we need some diversity help. Can you come over and lead our diversity comms?" So then I left, went right there to 30 Rock. all to
Comcast different
say-
network, so you quit.
Yep, I quit.
Okay. Okay. How did that
I
go?
quit. It was interesting because I went to my boss at the time and I said, "Hey, NBC reached out to me. They slid in my DMs on LinkedIn, and they have an opportunity to be a director of diversity communications, dual report into their chief of comms and their chief diversity officer." And I think it's a great opportunity. I've worked at Disney ABC, I've worked at CBS, and now I can work at NBC. And I was like 26 years old at the time. And my boss said, "Don't do it. You're not going to like it over there. Stay here. What do we need to do to make you stay?" And I said, I think it's more about the opportunity to do something different. I've been here for 7 years, and I think I just want to do something different. And he said, "Listen, one day you will have my job. Just stay here. It's going to take you 20 years, but you'll have my job one day." And I was young. I was like, I don't want to wait 20 years. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do.
Thank
And
goodness.
so we kept in contact. I left. I went over to NBC, which is how I know Christopher Nelson worked at NBC with me. So that's how we met. And then I was there for 3 years. I did some other things after that. After that, I went to IPG, FCB Global, which is a marketing advertising agency. I reported into the chief of comms, chief marketing officer. It was amazing. I was 27, 28, 30 by the time I got there. And I was traveling the world. I'm going to Nice, I'm going to Cannes, France, I'm going to Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity, direct reports around the world. I have direct reports in Mumbai, in Johannesburg, South Africa. Like, it was amazing. And then after I left FCB, a recruiter slid in my DMs on LinkedIn again and said, "Hey, I have an opportunity. I know you're a professor at NYU, and I have an academic opportunity." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm traveling the world. Like, I'm not trying to leave FCB. I'm super happy. Have a great boss. Have a great team." And she said, "Listen, just give me 5 minutes." And so I know your success is often dependent upon your boss. I chatted with her for 5 minutes, and she said, "Hey, there's a very young, dynamic, powerful president of Barnard College. She's looking for someone with media expertise because she wants a publicist. She has a book. She wants the book pitched. She wants to totally revamp how Barnard College, Columbia University is spoken about. And this is the salary for the role." And it was a nice salary. It was a really
higher
life-changing
education.
salary. Who knew? So
Okay.
in my head, I was like, oh, okay. I'm engaged by this time to my now husband. I'm engaged, a nice coin. I thought higher ed, like relaxing, nonprofit. So I took the role. And to my surprise, higher ed is a lot of crisis comms and issues management. A lot.
Well, I think in this day and age, not so much of a surprise. 'Cause,
Not so
like,
much of a surprise now, but in my head, I thought I'm dealing
Yeah.
with entertainment, I'm dealing with actors, I'm dealing with talent. I thought
Yeah.
that was going to be a walk in the park, and it wasn't. So I was there for a few years, and then I left. George Floyd happened. My phone was ringing off off the hook because I have that DEI expertise that I did at CBS, that I did at NBC. I actually made the most I've ever made consulting, which is pretty amazing. And then Amazon said, hey, what you're doing for all this stuff and comms around George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate, come over to Amazon. And so then I was at Amazon for 3 years. And then I'm now at Hachette, where I'm super duper duper happy. Like you said, it's one of the world's largest book publishers. We also have games and gifts and stationery and really cool things like knock knock products. And it's been amazing. I've been here 9 months, chief of comms, working really closely with our chief marketing officer, leading all branding for the company, all social media, crisis comms, issues management, public relations, media relations, executive comms, events. So it's been fantastic. I'm super duper happy.
That didn't take 20 years.
No, it didn't. It did not take 20 years.
Was it 10? 10, 11?
It did not take 20 years.
Well, I want to take a breath for a second.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And at some point through there, I met you when you were at Amazon. You don't have kids, you got married, you bought a house.
Yeah.
When do you relax? How do you relax? That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
When you're
A coworker,
still?
and I'm teaching still. So I bought my house at 26 years old. So I bought my house 10 years ago in Westchester, 7-bedroom house, total fixer-upper. You've been to my house. So every year we've done a project to try to step the game up. And honestly, me buying my house wasn't me at 26 saying I want to be a homeowner. It was my parents saying, how much are you paying in New York City rent? Why are you doing that? Like, you're losing out on equity. That's a waste of money. You need to buy a house. My father, by the time he was 21, he owned 2 homes, which is really interesting. And so my dad's like, when I was your age, I already owned 2 houses. Like, you're behind. And I'm like, sir. So he helped me. My dad, who's worked in real estate his whole career, helped me come up with a strategy on how to afford a house, how to come up with a down payment, because I didn't think I had enough. And he's like, first time home owner, FHA, you only have to put a certain percentage down. Let's 5%. Look at, yep, which is nothing compared to typically people are coming up with 20% and what have you. So he helped me with that. He gave me the loan. He helped me with the entire process. He actually flew into town, and while I was working and teaching, he was looking at houses. He connected with realtors, and he's like, I got a house for you. It's in a great area. White Plains is fantastic. It'll be great for when you get married. At the time, I was only dating my husband, so it'll be great for when you and Jeff finally get married and give me some grandchildren. And so that, my parents did tremendously help with the home buying process, and my dad was integral to that, because I wasn't thinking at 26 that I need to buy a home right now.
Who is?
But with his help, I did. Yeah, and I'm grateful because I got my house for less than half rather of what it's going for right now. So it was a good thing.
We got them cute interest rates.
Yeah, my interest rate is
let's take a moment to be smug about it, but at least you bought a house.
Really good interest rate. Yes.
Okay. Still though.
Yeah.
You are someone who does everything at a high level, and I want you to talk about how you also incorporate fun and leisure and luxury into your life, because I'm over here trying to get to that level too, where it's like, oh, I go on vacations like every month, every other month, like we're doing a big trip, like whatever. Yeah. So how, as you have been so aggressive, I mean, I don't want to use that word in like a negative sense, but so driven in your career. Did you ever reach a point of burnout, or how do you avoid that?
That's a great question. So I kind of I am on a plane at least once a month. So I'm very grateful to be on a plane once a month. My birthday, I always go somewhere on my birthday. Our wedding anniversary, we are always on a flight. My husband's birthday, we're always on a plane. And so I justify that luxury because I work really hard. So it's kind of like I'm teaching at Columbia, I'm teaching NYU. I have a full-time job that I love, but it's very demanding. I'm a senior executive, I'm in the C-suite. And so for me, inserting those moments of luxury is non-negotiable. What's non-negotiable is my me time. I'm going to go to the spa. I'm going to go to the spa once a month. For a long time, I have gel nails right now, but for a long time I had a regular manicure because it meant that every single week I had to get my nails done because a regular manicure for me only lasts a week. And so it was kind of like my getaway. So I am beyond intentional about experiences. I'm intentional about breaks, mental breaks for mental health, that fun leisure, and I'm unapologetic about that. Because I work so hard, I deserve it. And I also want to show my children the world. Both of my children were on a plane before they were 1 month old, and so they know the richness and the benefit of travel. They know the benefit of seeing the world, and all those things are important to me.
Woo, y'all. I hope that y'all have been stacking up these gems that Gabrielle Gambrell has been sharing with us. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to pay some bills and be right back to hear more about her incredible career story and how she has become my shero. I mean, talk about the mental health breaks. Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like for you? And when do you know? Because it's like, I'm glad that we have that phrase now, mental health break, but it's also about being so in tune with yourself that you know it's coming, like not getting to that point of like such distress that it's like, oh, it's an emergency. I need to like cancel everything and check out whatever. Is that how it's shown? Have those breaks come like pre-planned? Do you have the sense of when you're going to need one? And then what does that actually look like for you?
So for me, I always have something on the calendar. Like I said, I'm on a plane at least once a month. And so I always
For pleasure or like for work?
between the two. But even if
Okay.
I'm traveling for work, I will find pleasure. So I will find, I'm going to go to the spa. I'm going to find like something fun to do in that city. I'm going to go for myself to check out a museum or look up the best restaurants in that city. So, and that's a luxury. I'm very grateful for that I've had roles for the bulk of my career that do require travel. Or I'm going to go to this conference. I'm going to go to NABJ. I go to NABJ every single year for professional development, but I also go to have a good time. I'm not missing that party
you should
Friday
be
night
dragging
for
me.
NABJ.
It's always
Come
on
on,
my
let's
birthday.
go.
It's always on my birthday weekend.
Okay.
I don't want on my
Okay.
birthday.
It
in
is.
Cleveland.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going. We should talk about that offline.
We should. Okay,
Let's talk
offline.
about that. Yeah. Yeah. So I just always have it. And I started that pretty early in my career. Once I could afford it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it's always like something to look forward to. And it's on my calendar.
Yeah. I think we really connect on the way that we strategically make pivot decisions, like, okay, this is the right opportunity. I'm going to quit and take this new opportunity. I'm going to go in that direction. I'm going to try out the higher education. Okay, I'm not loving this. I'm going to pivot and go. You had like your own business. You still do, have your own like, consulting, branding, PR. What is it? Gift of Gabrielle? Is that what it is?
Gift of Gabrielle. That's it.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
I love the alliteration. Mandy Money, Mandy Money Makers, Gift of Gab.
Yes, it works. It works.
It's all about that. Yeah, it's about the brand recognition. So talk a little bit about, was there ever a point when you were making all these like job hops where someone questioned you about it? I do get that question a lot because I love telling women to quit and pick a new opportunity. But it's always like, well, won't that look bad? And won't people like, frown upon that or whatnot? But it serves you so well. So did you ever encounter any like friction?
All the time. All the time.
Okay.
All the
How?
time. So people have said, family, friends, loved ones, those in the industry whom I respect, listen, you can't do this. Or once you go to higher ed, you'll never be able to make it back to media. Because why would I hire someone that's working at Columbia University full time or working at Barnard College full time when I can hire someone from Fox, when I can hire someone from CBS? Their resume is going to be more attractive than yours. But my response was, I'm going to be the chief communications officer. I'm going to be the chief marketing officer in this role. And so I intentionally found moments to still do entertainment. So even though I was working at Barnard, Viola Davis was our commencement speaker. I worked with Viola Davis and her team, and that was the biggest moment, and one of the biggest moments of 2019 on Google. Like, I always try to find ways to incorporate my passion, which is media and entertainment. So I guess what kind of helps me is that I'm overly confident. I will figure it out. I've done that for the majority of my life. I went into college thinking I wanted to be an on-air reporter and a journalist. I thought then I was going to be a TV producer. That didn't work out because I couldn't live off of minimum wage in New York City. Then, so I always kind of made a pivot, and I'm grateful for that, but I know that that is hard if you don't have that confidence, and that people can be in your ear. And though people have always been in my ear and given their opinion, their industry expertise, their love as a friend, I typically do what I want to do, and I'm grateful for having that discernment and that courage, because it does take courage.
It's courage, but even more so, it's self-trust.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we have in common. It's one of the hardest things as a coach that I sometimes I'm like, how do I teach this? And the only way to teach it, in my experience, is to test yourself. And you have to do something that your gut tells you to do, see how that works out, and like incrementally build that trust. You know, and that can look like, for me early in my career, it was graduating into the Great Recession in journalism, no less, with like a print degree. I think it's like, it should have been illegal to have me graduate with like a print magazine degree in 2009. But I was lucky enough to get a job because I had interned and worked my ass off during college. So I actually had a job, and my gut was like, take a break. Go travel. Like, I ended up doing an unpaid internship in Chile and moving abroad, and it all was fine. I remember my little brother, who's like very business savvy, very like, he's like, this is dumb. Why are you doing this? But it's just like, follow your gut, and it is a muscle. And I just feel like it's something that could free so many women up more to take these like risks in their career if they just shut out the noise, learn how to shut out the noise, tune it out. Without letting them know, because we got to keep those relationships, healthy. But tune it out and do what you want to do.
To respectfully disagree with someone. Or sometimes, like, I don't even respond to people who I just say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that thought. Thank you for that. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm not taking into consideration anything that they're saying.
Oh, I gotta pick that one up.
It's interesting. I actually was talking to somebody about that recently. My neighbor, now friend, our sons play on the same football team, and she is a pediatric nurse practitioner. And so she told me she was studying in college, and she was undeclared, so she didn't have a major right away. So she went to the counselor and said, I want to be a nurse. I want to work with children. And they said, listen, you're not good at math. Your science grades aren't that great. You should just do something else. Nursing is not going to be for you. And she literally dropped out of college because she thought, wow, I need to figure out like what it is I want to do. This college counselor who talks to people about the careers every day told me I shouldn't major in nursing and I wouldn't be successful. She dropped out of college, and now she is a nurse practitioner, a pediatric nurse practitioner. She works at Columbia Medical. And so it was somewhat of a pivot to get back to where she always wanted to be. But sometimes like it's also those things listening in. For me in high school, I come from humble beginnings. I told the college counselor, it was interesting in high school, we had a guidance counselor who I loved. I loved my guidance counselor. We had a great relationship. And then we had a college counselor who I never met before in my life, but she was the one that had to do my college letters of recommendation. And I said, I want to go to college in New York. I'm applying to Syracuse. I'm applying to NYU, all these schools. And she said, honey, you can't afford to go to New York. And I said, what? She said, New York is one of the most expensive places in the world. Why don't you go to a Cal State or a state university in California? It'll be free. You do not want to go to college in New York because you can't afford it. And heaven forbid something happens, your family doesn't have money to give to you. That's just not for you. And I looked like I was horrified because this woman who I just met for a few minutes, talked to her for a few minutes, told her my dreams and aspirations. She's the one that has to write my letters of rec. And I'm replying to all these colleges in New York, St. John's University. I applied to like every college in New York. So I was horrified, but then I was kind of like, please, So I still applied to all these schools. I got into every college except NYU, which was my dream school. And then full circle, NYU calls me one day and says, we want you to be a faculty professor. And I'm like,
I was just about to be like, you mean, ooh, I love a full circle moment.
Yes, I love a full circle moment. But that could have been a huge pivotal, like, all right, well, I guess New York is out the window because I don't have money. When, no, I still came to New York. Somehow my dad paid for my flight here. He said, good luck, get a job right away. I got 3 jobs right away, and I've been able to sustain myself. Debt. I did. I have those loans, and I still have loans. But if it wasn't for me taking loans, I wouldn't be able to live in one of the greatest cities, which I love, and all these other things. So What's for you is for you, period.
Period. And I honestly, I don't think that counselor was wrong to give that kind of warning. I think a lot of people do need that warning. I think that it's just like in the message delivery. And I think because she didn't know you, that's what become a little bit dangerous. Because I think anyone who knew you would be like, oh, but if anyone's going to do it, Gabrielle's going to do it. And she will rise, you know, because clearly you did. And thank God you had that confidence in yourself. But there's probably some people who wouldn't, you know, if you don't have that drive and that ambition and the merciless will to make shit happen for yourself, maybe you don't want to go across country and take out all this debt, you know, then be kind of lost and floundering and not have a way. But I'm not worried about you.
That's the point.
At all. You and I have talked about personal finances quite a bit.
Yep.
And you're very transparent about it, but you're also extremely like savvy financially and frugal. I mean, like not frugal because, you know, like, first of all, look at you, like, you know how to spend on yourself, right?
Yes.
But you are like, you know what you need to feel financially secure. And can we talk about that for a minute? At what point through building your career did you start learning about or wanting to like invest, you know, start saving, figure out how much to set aside, and how has that evolved over the years?
I'm going to be honest. One of the ways I made it in New York City is that when I was 13 years old, my dad said, listen, you need a credit card. I need to explain to you the power of credit score. I got my first credit card at 13.
Is that a thing?
I don't think it's a thing.
Were you like an authorized user on his account?
No. We lied about the year I was born. Let me be honest. Yeah.
Oh my day.
So I just made myself 18. So I just upped it some years. And I got like $200 limit, right? And so my dad told me everything. Use it more, pay it off, but give me the money at 13 to pay it off. Then I started working. By the time I was 14, 15, I started formally working so I would pay it off myself. And so all that to say, I've been able to do a lot of things having a really high credit score. I check my credit probably 3 times a day, which is absolutely positively ridiculous.
Even today, Gabrielle?
Absolutely. I get every alert, absolutely. And so when I brought my house, my credit score...
Free time?
All my free time. At 26, when I brought my house, my credit score was like a 835, and it doesn't typically go under a 840. So I have the like pristine, perfect, highest you could have is a 850. And so that allowed me to generate a lot of currency and having a really high credit score. It helped me to get an apartment. Like, I wasn't a huge high earner, but they looked at my credit score and they're like, oh, we can put her into this nice apartment in New York City. So that was the first thing. And I've been afforded a lot of great low interest rates, a lot of great things by having phenomenal credit and being really into credit. And so I will, when my children are in high school age, I'll do the same. I won't lie about the year, but I'll add them to my credits so that they can build credit. And by the time they go to college, hopefully they are responsible and take advantage of having a good credit score. Something else is that my parents max out your 401k as soon as you start working in corporate. So when I got over to CBS, contribute the most you can, look at your 401k sporadically. When you need to buy a house, can we just get something from your 401k? You'd be so surprised how much money you have in there. When I was at CBS.
Oh, is that how you came up with your down payment?
That is absolutely, positively, that is.
And I was really... Did you have to pay, so then with a 401k, did you have to pay...
I did.
Taxes on that withdrawal?
Yep. I had to pay taxes on that withdrawal, but my dad did the math and told me how much the taxes would be, and I had that much money in the bank. So he was like, oh, you already have the money to pay it back. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I absolutely had a penalty. I had a penalty, but
the early withdrawal.
I paid it back. Early withdrawal. And so there's just been a lot of strategic things. My 401k, my credit score. I work additional jobs because some of that money I don't touch. The money I get from teaching, I don't touch it. It goes to my children's accounts. So it goes to their 529. It goes to their IRA. It goes to their personal savings and checking, which each one of them have, their UTMA accounts. I don't touch that money. It automatically is dispersed. It comes direct out of their account to all of the respective places it's supposed to go. So like people are like, where do you work so much? Well, that's my child's investment. And teaching brings me so much joy. People say, what do you do for fun? You work so much. What do you do for fun? Well, actually, I love teaching. I never had a Black professor, not one. And so for me, being able to teach people that look like me, being able to teach diverse students, it really means so much to me. So,
what do you teach?
I teach marketing and communications.
At NYU or Columbia now?
At both. I teach at both. Yeah, so I typically alternate one class per semester. When I was younger, in my 20s, I taught 4 classes. So I worked from 9 to 5, 9 to 6, got to campus by 6:30, taught 6:30 to 9:30 every night. But in your 20s, you just have energy.
Yes, this
Like
is
you
true.
have energy, and
This
then
is true.
and then on the weekends I would babysit, right? That was my third job in my 20s. So I taught, I worked at CBS, and I babysat. And then my babysitting money used to be like my play money. This is what I'll use for a flight, to catch a flight somewhere. So just always finding strategic opportunities to make money and identifying what that money is going to do. Like, I'm not just working like this just to work. I'm working like this to be set up for a particular future, to set my children up for a particular future. Like I said, I graduated college with an enormous amount of school loans. God willing, my children won't have that. They won't have that concern. And so that is a blessing to be able to set them up in that way.
I really feel like standing up and clapping right now. I just...
You do the same thing, so
You're so,
I mean,
like, you're just, it's just like, yes. I mean, I see why we're friends. I see why we're friends and we never see each other.
Well, we do see each other. It's
damn
love.
busy.
It's either something with the kids or something.
Do I have to have a master's to
all
teach? I would love to teach. Do I have to have a master's for that?
So I have a very few amount of friends who, based on industry experience, the chair of their departments let them teach. But 9 times out of 10, the desire is that you have a master's.
No, thank you. I don't want to go back to school. But I do feel like eventually I would love to teach, even if it's like mentoring or something like that. Those adjunct professor jobs, though, they do pay pretty decent.
They pay decent, I think. Yeah.
I guess for extra
so
money for your kids, yeah.
The Ivy Leagues pay really well. Columbia University is an Ivy League, so it pays substantially more than NYU, depending on the endowment of the university, depending on how big and how prestigious the school is. But then I'm very grateful. I'll get a speaking opportunity, so I'll be able to speak and then get a nice 5-figure check that I just put away. So there's a lot of different things that come. I've been able to benefit from having that title of professor. No one could take that away. I've been teaching at the collegiate level since I had my master's in 2009. So I've been a professor for quite some time now. And so that comes with, Gabrielle Gambrell, professor at Columbia, professor at NYU. That adds currency to my rates and, different opportunities.
I want to come to one of your classes and just
come.
You
can be a speaker. You can actually teach a class if you want.
Oh, I'd love to.
You can do that. Yeah. On storytelling, on branding, on podcasting. There's so many things you could teach on.
I'd really love to. Also, just to get to, I know you don't see her, but Brown Ambition has a new producer intern, also named Gabrielle, who's from Syracuse. And I just realized it is such a privilege to get to be in that position, to give an opportunity to someone who was in the exact same position we were in school. So I think I just think that's wonderful. I want to take a moment because I want to talk about Hachette. I want to talk about publishing. I want to talk about what is going on in publishing at this time, in this climate. And and full disclosure, BA fam, I'm a Hachette author. Well, soon to be. I am so fortunate to be working with Hachette's imprint Legacy Lit with the wonderful Krishan Trotman. That was before Gabrielle joined Hachette. It's just so serendipitous that now you're there.
Yes.
But, Legacy Lit is an imprint that was created post George Floyd. It was really meant to amplify BIPOC and female voices, and it has done that. And when they hired you, I was like, oh, well, Hachette is not taking its eye off the ball. Like, they're going to continue, amplifying these types of stories. But I want to get your perspective, someone in comms. Like, what is the landscape like right now?
That's a great question. So some media companies, I have friends that work at leading media companies. I have some former colleagues where their title was changed. Literally, diversity used to be in their title. Their title does not include diversity anymore. I have been
hearing that, yes.
Here, we hired a director of diversity just a few months ago. I think she started 3 months ago at Hachette in both the US and the UK. And this fall in September, we're having DEI festivals. So the entire day, all employees are taking off from doing your traditional work. You'll go in DEI workshops, hear from DEI experts, and there's sessions. And so a full day dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of our business pillars is changing the story, which is our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm very grateful to work for an organization, to work for a company, to work for a boss that says, not on my watch. DEI is in essence a part of what we do here. And I'm grateful, and I'm also at a point in my career, and again, it's a luxury and a privilege, and I've worked hard to be here, but I'm at a point in my career that if you're not talking the talk, or if you're not in line with my mission and my personal mission and my personal values, it's not a good fit. But here we are really, really committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in the industry, a lot of more conservative industries, and not even some you would be surprised, they are changing that diversity title. Their diversity departments are being cut. Actually had a girlfriend reach out to me today from a leading media company. She just got laid off, and she mentioned something to do with DEI cutbacks. So it is unfortunately happening in this current climate, but we're actually doing more on the diversity front.
How, and I mean, it's a private company, right, Hachette? Like, or is it public?
No, it's a publicly traded
It is publicly
company.
traded. So that means the board also is on.
The board is
the board's on board.
Yeah,
with that as well.
The board is on board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful to hear that. I think it is a really terrifying time. It also makes me scared for women of color, especially because that's who they called on post 2020 to take on these new positions.
Yeah.
And so, to hear about your friend and others who are being cut. We're a branding and PR person. So if I'm someone who's been in the DEI space, I mean, we were just talking about that on a group coaching call last night. Like, should you go on LinkedIn and update your own title and take out those words? And some were like, yes, and some were like, no. But as a branding expert yourself, how would you be thinking about rebranding or positioning yourself in this market if you do have a lot of experience in DEI and you're worried about that not being as marketable in this
That's a great question.
current climate?
That's a great question. The fact of the matter is companies are literally being sued for their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are being sued for diversity programs, which is why, from a business standpoint, it's not one I agree with, but from a business standpoint, it's the reason why some companies are eliminating diversity departments, diversity teams, because who wants to be sued? To that effect, I think it's so important that those who have a diversity expertise, that they make sure their resume, their LinkedIn shows transferable skills, because facts are facts. There's not enough diversity jobs anymore. So if you're like, hey, I just want to do something diversity based, I only want to work in a diversity department, you are honestly limiting. But maybe there's an opportunity to work in people management. Maybe there's an opportunity to work in human resources. Maybe there's an opportunity to work in business development. So it's being able to pivot and read the room and deal with kind of the current climate. I just highly recommend that. So if I'm hiring for, let's even say like a marketing role, a lot of people that did DEI roles have phenomenal marketing expertise. Your resume should convey that.
100%. And I mean, it's almost, it takes away from the fact that it's not like someone in marketing who focuses on DEI has any less talent or skills than someone who's a general, marketing person. Sorry.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like it's a good opportunity to remind people too that you hold, like, if you really care about DEI at its core, which is to increase representation and inclusivity. I always felt like such a spy, like a covert operator when I was a people manager, because I got to lead a team of 30 people, 100 contractors. I got to decide how to spend that budget, and you better be damn sure I was spending it on people who look like us.
Absolutely.
And I didn't need a DEI title to do that. I just needed me in that leadership position.
Absolutely.
So I think it's even more like, I think it's like, all right, cool. We're not going to get a gold star, pat in the back for labeling what we're doing, but it shouldn't stop us from doing what we're doing.
I agree. And when you're looking at the companies, look at, do they have a diversity report? Do they have a corporate social responsibility report you can look at to see what their values are? Do they have employee resource groups? Like, okay, I don't have a traditional DEI function, but I want to be president of the Black Employee Network. I want to be president of the whatever ERG, LGBTQIA or AAPI ERG. So some companies, they're losing those things, and other companies, though they're pushing back on diversity, equity, and inclusion, that may be your way to still make an impact in amongst that community.
Oh, I just am really happy to know you. And
thank you, friend.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about them kids. One of the toughest things we talked about recently I think we were actually on the phone. I forget why, doesn't matter. But you were just talking about your commute. And you work so hard. You're in the office 4 days a week now.
I am.
No more remote work.
I am.
She getting that good C-suite money. They're like, well, we're going to see you in the office. But they pay you for that, right? But you are commuting, and that's a long commute. And you talk about leaving before the kids get up and getting home after they're in bed some days.
Yes.
How do you find time to reconnect with them? Like for
Yes.
any mom who wants to grind as hard as you, let's just be real about the sacrifice of what
Yes.
that can look like. So
Yeah.
how do you balance, or how do you like try to reconnect with those kids when you are home with them?
Yeah, so my kids are booked. They are so booked. My son has an activity 7 days a week. 7 days a week. He has something
Okay.
every single day. Basketball, soccer, football practice and football game, karate 3 times a week,
Who's taking them to all
doing
that?
piano.
Husband, dad?
Husband.
Okay, good
Yeah,
for
it's
him.
pretty amazing, right?
So you have a
So
partner who's
I'm
like
grateful. I'm so
able to, does he
grateful.
work from home? Or I know he's like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
he's
He's in
transition, but
transition.
yes, okay. And lucky he's married to a bad bitch.
Oh, thank you.
But so he's okay,
Yeah.
so he's there, Mr.,
He's
stepping
there,
up.
but even before he was in this transitional period, he worked from home full time. So he took the kids, and he still does. He takes his kid. My daughter goes to daycare. My son goes to school. He takes them to the school bus. My son gets home between 3:30 p.m. and 4 o'clock. My husband's there to pick them up every day. My daughter has to be picked up from daycare by 6 o'clock. My husband, who is phenomenal, amazing, wonderful partner, does that. Takes my daughter's now in karate, so Gigi's ballet, soccer, karate. So she's booked too. And so we are actually talking about this because I was like, hey, maybe I need to hire some help to like kind of help to drive them or what have you. And it's figuring those things out. But in terms of connection with the kids, the weekend is theirs. I'm taking my daughter to ballet, non-negotiable. I told you this, I joined the dance studio that she goes to. So like trying to do some physical something. And so I do a Zumba class. I bring her with me. She's there. She'll try to 1-2 with
That's
me.
right, I
And
gotta go to
then
Zumba. So we're doing it on the weekend
come with
then.
me. Yes,
'Cause I was
yes.
looking at that schedule. I'm like, well, how the hell is Gabby?
Saturday, 9 a.m.
Saturday,
Come.
9 a.m. Oh,
Yes,
done.
a black owned studio, Dream Studio in Westchester. So ballet is hers. Then after that, I take my son to karate. In the morning, my husband takes him to football. Sundays football games. I'm at my son's football game. I won't miss it. So those I try my best. My children get the weekend, and then when I get home, if I get home at 8 o'clock, my children are still up because their schedule is non-existent. Something I got to work on. I'm reading
Oh, but
the
let's
bedtime
listen.
story.
Oh, but I just in that moment of you saying that, I feel seen because
Okay.
somehow my baby is the night owl now. Homeboy's not in bed till 10. I'm like,
Yeah,
Remy,
that
what are
sounds
you
about right.
doing? He's like, I
That
don't
sounds
know. What
about
are we
right.
watching? Dateline? Like, let's
That
go.
sounds about right.
And
Yeah.
my 5-year-old's like, it's 8:30. I'm ready to go to my chambers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I really feel seen in that moment. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I just try to make time. My kids will wait until I get home so mommy can give them a bath or like little things like, come on, let's brush our teeth together. How was your day? What's going on at school? What are you doing? Let mommy check your homework, even though Jeffrey already did his homework with his dad. Can mommy check it? Can mommy see what you're working on in school? So I try my best to insert themselves. And then certain things like my son one day recently, he was walking around with the luggage, pulling the luggage. I'm my mom and I'm going away for business. I'm my mom and I'm traveling for business. And
I
I'm like, is
love
this
that.
shade or is this okay? Like, I don't know. So
Oh, yeah, he's like a
I
baby
try,
feminist.
yeah, I try to make intentional time with them. I really do.
Yeah. And do you and your husband sort of have an understanding or like I mean, he knew he was marrying,
He
right?
knew.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I
Yeah.
think, and so did my husband. And I think to a certain extent, it's like, I am exactly who I was 10 years ago, but now
That's
we
so
adding kids in the
true.
mix. So you need to step it up, Mr. Dad.
That's so true.
My husband came home yesterday early because he knew I was a little frustrated by the state of the affairs of my house. And sweeping, mopping, picking the kids up. I was like, okay, great. This is what we need to see.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because I
yeah.
work all
Makes a
day.
difference. Makes such a difference. Makes such a difference. He knew, we've been married for 7 years, together for 17 years. So he always knew. He was with me CBS and everywhere after that. So he knew what the deal was. And my husband, when I talk about like, oh, we should get some help or maybe I should have some, my husband's like, it's my kids. I could take my kids to their stuff. Or like his greatest joy in life is being a father, and so I'm grateful for that because he never ever even blinks twice. It's like, okay, but I have to tell him what's on the calendar because he doesn't check the calendar. So every morning I say, okay, Jeffrey has karate at this time, Gigi has karate at this time, Jeffrey has this whatever activity, but he's pretty phenomenal in that. And then like he knows like his birthday's coming up in June. he's like, oh, I got my list of where we're going for my birthday. And so, I'm like, okay, whatever you want to do, we're there. I already took off of work. We will go away for your birthday like we do every year, and it'll be a great time. So that's also important, like balancing work, balancing kids, but balancing that marriage relationship. Non-negotiable, me and my husband have date night, non-negotiable.
You do. How often do you do that?
We do, once a week.
Once a week. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I got no excuse to not be having date nights. Other than like we just like hanging out with the kids.
Yeah, that's fun for you guys. My husband is like, can we have no kids for a second? So,
Well, he is like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's very true.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all right. Well, I just want to be you when I grow up, I guess.
No,
So,
no. I look up to you. I tell you that all the time. I always tell you I'm in awe of you. And let's talk about finances. Let's talk about some stock. And we were talking about you check your stuff, and I'm like, dang, I need to check my stuff a little
Oh
bit.
yeah,
more,
we
see
were
how
going to
it's
talk about your
doing.
equity. You got to diversify that.
Yes, I know.
Employer equity.
I need to. I have 3 401ks because of the different companies I worked on. And at one point, my advisor was like, leave it there. And this, so I got to check it out. I got to like,
As long as
see
you
how
know
it's
where they're
doing.
all at. But that's
I know
what
where
like.
it's at. I know where it's
You know
at.
where it's at. Well,
Yeah.
I'm always here when you want to chat about that with all your free
Okay.
time.
Thank
Gabrielle
you.
Gambrell, thanks so much for joining me on
Thank
Brown Ambition
you.
and being such a great example of what a driven, unapologetic, badass woman in 2025, a mom, an executive, but someone who still pours back into themselves and their community. So it's just an honor to know you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, VA fam, go check out Gabrielle everywhere. Your Gift of Gabrielle on IG.
Yep.
We'll put the link in our show notes where you can connect with her, as well as Hachette, and find out more about
Yes.
Legacy Lit, and all the great projects that Gabrielle is doing, all the great press she's getting. Everyone
Trying
at
to.
Hachette.
Yes.
Excellent. Anything else you want to leave us with?
No, just check out HachetteBooks.com, Hachette US on all handles, and Gift of Gab, my handle. I'm on all platforms.
Wonderful. All right, VA fam, until next time. Bye.
Bye.